So today is February 22nd, 2022. It's a whole lot of tools. What it do? Today we are reading pages 51 to 52. And, we're highlighting women in cooperatives. But I wanted to begin our reading from Rising, chapter 4. Wanted to read a little bit. See, chapter 4 is a great chapter in Jackson Rising. If you don't have the book already, please go cop that. It's okay. We are mainly reading from Collective Courage, but Jackson Rising is just such a good book in terms of giving the depth of a cooperative going from beginning to end and laying out there the way they think about cooperatives and the thought that went into configuring a whole new economy for their city. So I think it could be great inspiration for us. We are learning from them. We have learned from them. So in terms of like Repair Nations, we've been inspired by them. We work with Cooperation Jackson heavily. In terms of our conference, we've had them involved. Matter of fact, I just saw Monica. She was out here. I went to Richmond, and she was on a bike ride with Brother Najari. It's a sister from Cooperation Jackson. It was good. She went to go with us. So from the book, it says, the Jackson Plan is an initiative to apply many of the best practices in the promotion of participatory democracy, solidarity economy, and sustainable development, and combine them with progressive community organizing and electoral politics. So I feel like that was a lot in that one sentence, because it shows what they are focusing on, where the focus is when they planted these seeds of the Jackson Kush plan, and they planted their seeds of getting politics, getting politicians into the running, right? So when we talk about participatory democracy, decisions don't get made by one person. Now, you may have a proposal for the squad. You may say, hey, guys, I see this opportunity. I think we should go this way. But the decision doesn't happen just because one person says that's a good idea. It's the whole collective or cooperative. Now, sometimes you may have folks who are on the management team, meaning they may understand a little bit more of the inner workings than maybe some new people. But at the end of the day, everyone casts a vote, and it's up to the organization to educate everyone, right? So everyone knows what's going on. Then you have solidarity economy. So that's an economy in which different organizations and businesses support each other, and they operate with a list of values. They have a value system that is very clear and apparent, and is promoted and is consistently acted upon. So maybe, you have, well, let's just take the Jackson Kush plan, right? They have their composting cooperative. They have their urban farming cooperative. They have their cafe. All are in cohesion with each other, right? You have the food being grown, the waste is being thrown away into the compost. The compost is feeding the garden, and then the garden is also feeding the restaurant. And all along those lines, you have opportunity for employment, opportunity to keep the dollar circulating. So that's an example of a solidarity economy, and it can grow bigger than that. A sustainable development. So that's also similar to the situation I just named, because to have a business means that you have a value chain, a supply chain, and that business does not exist on their own, right? So you have businesses that also may manufacture, like a computer goes through many lines before it becomes a computer. You have to manufacture the chip, you have to manufacture the casing, somebody has to make the screen, somebody has to make sure that the circuitry is working, right? Which is separate than the chips. You know, you may have to just make sure the electric signal is going. So there's specialization in each one of these areas. Now, I'm sure Apple, for instance, has their supply chain on lock, in that they probably don't do a lot of outhouse things, meaning they probably have a lot of their functions in-house, meaning their employees are all Apple, you know, in the supply chain. I'm guessing, but I would imagine that they would do that. Or if you look at a Trader Joe's, if you guys are familiar, you know, they white label all of their products, meaning they don't grow all these vegetables, and they don't make all of these different products that they have necessarily. They hire or they buy the rights to sell these different items from other people. So it creates like a economy in which, you know, folks can enter who don't have the customer base as Trader Joe's to enter into that market, and Trader Joe's is benefiting from quality products. So I would say that's even sustainable, because we don't necessarily need a bunch. When these big companies get into farming, there's a lot of waste that gets created. There's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? The workers don't get compensated as much as they should. You know, so big corporations have cons, and the smaller organizations have, I would say, more pros, in the sense of they're able to be a little more equitable. So sustainable development includes all of those things. Where are you sourcing your material from? Where are you getting your workers from? How much they're getting paid? Environmental impact, all of these different things. So, and then when you think about progressive community organizing and electoral politics, that's getting into the people's assemblies and the political engagement. So we decide what we want as a community, and then we find or we create the politicians that we want, rather than just taking what the system gives us, right? Because we and we understand that. Sorry, I was getting a call. And we understand that in this two-party system, we don't have room. We don't have a lot to have the politicians that really rock with us as the common person. You know, by the time you get to the presidency or high office, you have a bunch of lobbyers who have a lot of money, who are able to get in their ear and say, hey, when you get into this presidency, maybe they already contributed to their campaign, say, look, we gave you this money, we need you to do this. I know you made all these promises, but you made us a promise too, and we gave you money. All these voters gave you is their votes, right? These are behind closed doors. They talking, we don't even know, you know? Like, for instance, Joe Biden said he was gonna cancel school debt. And a lot of people was excited about that, because school debt is plaguing a lot of people. We have not seen any action on that. And I would be surprised if there was any action on that. And I think the reason is because, I mean, it gets deep. I mean, inflation is high, and inflation affects banks and affects the big money as well as us. And so as that's happening, I would imagine that if we were to erase the school debt, along with the inflation happening, it would hurt the banks. It would hurt the big organizations that own a lot of the money in circulation. So that's probably why we haven't seen that, you know. But it is disappointing, because yeah, a lot of people are hurting and are running on hamster wheels. So I just wanted to read that, because I feel like the Jackson Plan is really taking into account the different aspects of their community that needs to be addressed, and trying to infuse their cooperative with that. All right. So let's move to pages 51 in Collective Courage. And we're going to start right under where it says the role of women in early union co-ops. All right. Mama Mia, would you like to start us off, actually?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. The early union cooperatives were often relatively conservative politically and limited the rights and mobility of women and unskilled workers in their operation and decision making. As women entered the labor movement, they began to challenge the gender bias of established cooperative values. Curl notes that co-op women attempted to incorporate feminine ideals of mutual aid and volunteerism as central to their cooperative visions. Black women, who had a long and impressive history in the mutual aid movement, pursued the same goal and brought time-honored strategies and skills to African American cooperatives. In 1886, Leonora Berry was elected head of the new Department of Women's Work at the KOL convention. Berry was the first female professional labor organizer in US history and supported the KOL's vision of cooperative development. Women members of the KOL set up cooperative garment factories in Chicago, St. Louis, and Indianapolis.
Solid. So I wanted to draw attention to one of those lines. As women entered the labor movement, they began to challenge the gender bias of established cooperative values. Curl notes that co-op women attempted to incorporate feminine ideals of mutual aid and volunteerism essential to their cooperative visions. I thought that was very interesting to me. For one, because I believe that women did come through and change the game. that happens, and there's plenty of examples in this book of that. And I do understand that their ideals that they brought were very they set a new precedent. I am curious as to why they called their ideals feminine, right? And maybe you guys can clue in on that. When they say, do you guys agree that mutual aid and volunteerism is a feminine ideal? Or did Curl, that's the person who wrote that quote, maybe make a false statement in terms of like labeling it a gender, or is this just good community work? That's for everybody or anybody.
Yeah, I don't think it would be feminine. I thought it was more of a, like from the church, because that's, mutual aid, volunteerism, that is something highly valued in the church.
Mm. Anybody else? And I think that what's interesting too, in churches, women are in leadership often. You may have the pastor who's the head, but I've been in many churches where women are doing a lot of the logistics in the churches, so maybe what they're saying is, because that consistency of women being in leadership in churches also influenced the cooperative movement, these same leadership positions became filled by women in the cooperatives, and it's being like associated with women because of the consistency in time that they've seen this happen, or this author has seen this happen. So, and then I'm also just curious about how the details of that transition, right? Because it seems like he's hinting at, maybe there was a little bit of conflict, when you're challenging the gender bias of an established cooperative values, right? So besides,
I was just going to say, well, the cooperative values are all about including everyone and working together. But because most men all own the businesses, they only were thinking of other men probably. And so the women came up and were like, well, hold up. I mean, if you mean everybody, let's do everyone, because that is one thing about cooperatives, everyone gets to vote. And so women are like, no, we care about every man, not just other men owners owning stores and whatnot. I'm complete.
Yeah, and I like to add to that as well. Am I coming through?
Yeah, you coming through?
Yes, sometimes these earphones be tripping, but indigenously, a lot of indigenous cultures attributed feminine energy to like very supportive and collective, as whereas versus masculine energy was very divisive and at odds with one another or with opposing energies. So I think that's what the beginning of his statement was curtailed to that. But yeah, I think it does reign supreme in my life. Every form of collectivism and like real sustaining efforts within the household, within the community, has been championed and held up by women, especially in the Black community. So I think it has some truth there. Um, and yeah, I think today, in today's modern society, we have this, not binary type of understanding of the thing, but I think it didn't mean any disrespect. I think it's all about observance. And when you see someone in the feminine energy, it's about collectivizing and nurturing one another. And I think that's what the mutual aid societies did for our people in that time.
So you're saying like maybe it's just an acknowledgement of how things how different energies can manifest, and it's not necessarily aligning it with like only women can do this. It's a like masculine energy in general maybe might tend to be a little more lone wolf, while the feminine energy is more like let's do this together. Neither one is better. It's just a way of describing two extremes, right?
Right,
Can y'all
totally.
can y'all hear
Totally.
me?
Yep. What's
Yep.
up,
Can
Z?
y'all can y'all see? What's up, y'all? My bad. Don't think I wasn't here for the last couple ones. I just was trying to. I was here. I was just trying to figure some stuff out outside. But I mean, not it ain't bad. But yeah, with that, like women are powerful, and you feel me in the Black community, rather as masculine, feminine, because women make stuff go. You know, with ideas, with planning, we're more organized. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, and I feel like that we women. I'm gonna just say women. We women work harder. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I wouldn't necessarily make it a gender thing.
Yeah,
We
nah,
would
yeah,
say like the energy,
yeah. The
which is
energy.
if we just look at identifying it as energy, polarities,
Mm-hmm.
a supportive and one that's more like constricting and like confrontational, whereas
Oh,
another one is more, inclusive
Competitive.
and supportive. Yeah, competitive.
oh,
That's
yeah,
very on that end. And I think the English language kind of, it leaves no gray area for this in today's time. So I get what you're saying, but I
yeah.
think we all, no matter what sex you are, can attribute some of these attributes, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
feminine or masculine. I have feminine traits that support me. I'm pretty sure you have masculine traits. So it's not a
Yeah.
sex gender thing. We
No,
just
yeah. It's just
yeah.
basically just like a power, like an
Yes.
energy, like you said. So like the nurturing, or you like a plant. You growing a plant or plant. That's what I was trying to basically say, but I'm trying to like word it to like it's straightforward. So yeah,
I,
that
I like how you said it though, Z. It's like a superpower. It's kind of what I heard.
yeah,
Like
the feminine energy makes things spark,
that's facts, and I
right?
think both sides have superpowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and those superpowers can be interchangeable and kind of have like a unique mix in each person. But
Yeah,
it's kind of
my
it's
bad.
our culture gets tripped up on these terms, but in reality, when it comes to raising a child, whether you're a man or a woman, it requires you to nurture the child.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like we all, the father and the mother has to nurture, but at the same time, we understand that women in our society, they have the babies, right? So there is a certain level of village that goes into that,
it's
to
supposed to
where
be
you might have mothers come together to raise their children
it's supposed
while
to be
the
a
men go
natural.
do
Yeah,
what they do. Now it doesn't always have to be that way, and in nature we see roles kind of switch, like seahorses, and
supposed to be a
like
natural thing. Natural.
Right. What's natural is how it happens. Like it's well, if there was no future influence in terms of technology and everything, I feel like if we were still out there hunting and gathering, there would be
Yeah.
certain things that would happen that would just kind of be natural because of the roles that we're placed in. But it does not mean that one can't do the other unless we're talking about physically having a baby. But other than that, there is no exclusionary thing. Like a woman could
But
go out there and kill a lion too.
no, yeah,
You know
no.
what I'm
I would
saying?
say,
Like
but
they got women warriors. So
I would say feminine energy would be good for use because she can weigh it out as both. But it's more sharp when it's like like on the creative side. Women are more creative. Not saying that men are not, but it like a creative side would be like it's like a spark. Like, okay, she thought of this, so it's like boom. So that you plant that seed is gonna grow to another. You feel me?
yeah, this is a
Yeah.
great conversation because
Is it making sense?
huh?
I want it to make sense. Is it making sense?
Yeah, no, you making sense, and we all on the same page. I think we are all understanding the nuance of masculinity and femininity, and these are just like Brother Tuss said, polar opposites that we can all find ourselves on some side of the spectrum at any given moment, depending on what we're talking about. Um, and masculinity and femininity does not is not exclusive to a man or a woman. It can be married within one.
Yeah, it could be both.
But we notice patterns. We notice patterns, and we notice that society has a way of making things super extreme. But our goal is to just understand that there are patterns, but we are
Yeah.
really just talking about
Feminine energy is great though,
collectivizing.
honestly, because it's
Huh?
like more. Feminine energy is great because it's more of electrifying and fun and playful. Like not even that. It's just like more, like I say, like gentle touch. Like who not gonna want that around? You know what I'm saying? And it's a powerful mind thing. You know, it's planting a seed. I keep saying the same thing, but I'm just trying to make like look for different wording. It's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna say, you know, it's beautiful. Everybody needs to experience that, whether it's in the co-op or in the community or just, you know, a little hey there, you know, in a good way, a positive way.
Shayara said both is needed for balance, and
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say
sums it
that
up.
too. I was gonna say that too. Like, yeah, I was gonna say like both is balanced. We need both of it. But yeah,
And I
I'm gonna
think
leave it
that's
at that.
something. I think that's something to consider. I know, like for instance, my collective, Raw Soul Collective, we are um, looking to bring in more feminine energy because we understand that we're brothers, and we have our biases and or our just
Or
patterns.
masculine.
Our masculine energy does
Yeah,
not necessarily cover the feminine. We might have certain aspects, but to bring in a feminine energy just evens things out, and it also can bring
yeah.
insight and perspective that we may
Why
miss.
that's the point where I'm trying to get across. It's like if it's thrown in there, if you're just around, if everything is masculine, it ain't gonna be even out. I'm gonna just put it like that. Like everything gonna be rough and somebody gonna get frustrated, somebody gonna get mad. So it's like a middleman. You need that. You need the feminine energy to smooth and wave things out. It's making, you know what I'm saying? I said it in so many words.
Yes, very well
I
spoken.
just I just want to
They
make
were
it clear.
talking about how these women were part of the Knights of Labor. That's what the KOL meant.
Yes.
Yes. The legacy. Let's. I'll read that part. The legacy of the Knights of Labor. The Knights of Labor connected workplace issues and labor rights with local, state, and federal policies, and was active in politics and mutual aid as well as economic development. The KOL connected and built upon earlier activities and organizations, and encouraged and promoted women's and African American involvement. Black members were known for their militancy and were eventually forced underground in the face of anti-union and racist intimidation and violence. Many militant white members also went underground in the face of violent opposition from conservatives and the corporate sector. In Chicago, the decline of the Knights of Labor was felt most strongly among the cooperatives, as Curl observes. The entire economic system came down hard on the night cooperatives. Railroads refused to haul their products. Manufacturers refused to sell them needed machinery. Wholesalers refused them raw materials and supplies. Banks wouldn't lend. Most of the cooperatives were forced to close by the end of 1888. The Knights of Labor led a movement that tore through the country, mostly the South. It had a significant impact, but then went underground and resurfaced in other forms, right? So the Knights of Labor seemed like they were causing much ruckus at that time in a good way, in a sense of changing the status quo. They were bringing women in. They were bringing African Americans in, and it seems like they weren't playing around. Like they mentioned the militancy of both the black and the whites, right? So we talked about the different personalities that might be required to do the Underground Railroad. I think it's the same thing happening here. There had to be a certain level of roughness or strong-headedness that, despite your sex, whether you were male or female, that you had to have, because the reality was you were dealing with big opposition. You had big ops. You had the railroads. You had other manufacturers, and basically they were trying to cut them off at every end and create an island out of them so they could not connect to other sources of help. Uh, okay, Shiara, you got a shout out? Go ahead.
Only after it's done, because I didn't want to mess up the flow of the conversation.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I can save some room for you to speak on that before we wrap up. Um, so yes, the entire economic system came down hard. That's what it says. Like they deal with a lot because they were doing something different, and it really um, it scared folks. I think it scared folks. Like really, we live in a time now when we are used to seeing progressive things like women in leadership, co-ed companies, and blacks leading, and having cutting edge businesses, and we've seen the rise of that in this time, and we still have much work to do. But imagine the stark contrast of where we are and back then. They were pushing for something that folks were not ready to see, and we know that there are folks still mad. You know what I'm saying? We still got folks mad with tiki torches, but back then they wasn't just burning tiki torches, they were burning crosses. They were looking, they were out for blood. They were trying their hardest to stop this progress. And in a lot of ways, they were successful in stopping the progress of that particular group. But at the same time, you can only hold back light for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like light is gonna shine. That's the duality of life. You can't have one without the other. So as far right as they were trying to go, right, because it was the conservatives that were going against them, the left is just gonna be more and more exasperated, because that's just the tilt of it. That's how they play these presidencies, right? We had Obama, which I feel like got us. Well, we had Bush, which got us ready for Obama, which got us ready for Trump, which got us ready for Biden. And how am I saying that? Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, right? So we go left, we go right, we go left, we go right. And I think it's a psychological scheme, right? Because unfortunately, just because somebody is your color doesn't mean they rock with you. And I love the example that Obama represented. And I don't necessarily have a problem with Obama himself, but a lot of things happened under Obama that were actually worse than Trump in some ways. Like we went through a lot of war, a lot of people were bombed during Obama. You know what I'm saying? But he also did a lot of good. We had the
Everything was just kind of like thrown off, huh?
One more time.
Everything was just like kind of thrown off with him, huh?
Well, I wouldn't say thrown off. What I'm just saying is that we had Bush, and so we had a certain kind of look at the presidency as like they let this guy in, like he's not that smart. There was a lot of stuff being said about Bush. He was a part of a family that seemed to be and super into the politics of everything, and it was just kind of like, oh, they got too much power, so let's go over here to this black man who's very intelligent, who's very like for the people, it seems, and then they use him as a guise or disguise for the things that they had going on, because we know the president don't run everything. So just because these things happen, I'm not saying Obama himself was responsible for all of this, but he does hold some accountability because he had to make some calls. So, but I say that to say, after Obama, folks were like, "Oh, we don't want this leftist view of the world. It's too libertarian, or it's too liberal. So we got to go far right now. We got to go to this very, problematic, divisive." Obama was unifying. Trump was divisive. So you see how they play off the energy. So I say that to say, these things that were trying to stop our growth back then actually kind of pushed us, because in the times of our worst economic situations we came together, right? They tried to divide us and we come harder together. And that's just the way the world is. Okay, we got Raquel saying shows the importance of creating co-ops along the supply chain. Co-ops that can produce for each other, sell to each other, share for one another. Snaps all around for that. I think you really hit the nail on the head. Mama Mia said exactly. That's how we can survive when the corporate machine tries to shut us down. We got to support each other. Solidarity economy. That is the one word for the many words that you just said, Raquel. A solidarity economy. That's what we're trying to create. That's what we're learning about, and we're getting there. What time is it? We got a few more minutes. Oh, we're over time. So real quick, Shiara, did you want to give you a shout out?
Yes, just real quick. So I'm doing a raffle to help fundraise for my birth, and it ends today. I'm raffling off what I make. I make macrame dresses, and the funds will help go towards paying for the midwife. If you're interested, you could check out my Instagram page, valor.virtue, and then all the information is there. So yeah, they're really beautiful dresses, and you can get it for a loved one, you can get it for yourself, or you can just support.
Hey, solidarity economy. Let's buy from each other. Let's sell to each other. So please support this sister. Congratulations on the baby to be. Such a beautiful thing. Life is just beautiful, and we celebrate that every day. Um, so yes, please support Shiara. She's a man, dynamite person, and she's doing some creative stuff. And yeah, we love to see our people doing well. So please support her. All right, y'all. So today we talked about women changing the game. They're gonna continue to change the game, and so yes, please think about what we've been doing, what we've been learning, and think about what you want to create, and how you can bring in the polarities, like bridge the polarities, right? It's not about man and woman necessarily. It's about like you have this side, this side. Where are you on that? And then how can you bring in the balance that you need? Because cooperatives, right, is about multiple people, not just one, right? So I think all of these concepts that we're talking about play into the building of what we're doing. And I really appreciate everybody coming in. Any last words from my co-host or from anyone else before we get up out of here?
Yes. Thank you everybody for coming today. And we are getting ready for our 2022 cooperative conference. It's not until October, but we're in the planning stages. We just released a survey. We'll try to get the link up for you to tell us what you want to learn in the conference. What do you want to hear about, so that we can make this conference together. If you have the link to the survey, Ajman, to put in the chat. Otherwise, we'll get it on our social media and keep bugging you guys until you fill out the survey. Thank you.
Yes, you know what? I don't have it ready right now at the moment, but I will be posting it today. So look out for that. I'll send it to our book club list. I know we have the email list, and then I got some of you guys on our Instagram list as well. So I'll send it through there. All right, my folks. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same black time. Oh, you got something to say, Z? Were you raising your hand? Oh, okay, okay.
I was, oh my bad. I was waving. My bad.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same black time, same black channel. Peace.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. And see y'all tomorrow.